We are live at Gaston Day School for the forum involving Gastonia City Council. I will put this on the principals right now, but they're not on the stage quite yet.
Right at 6?
Usually yell, "Good morning, Gaston." Get going.
See you behind you.
Okay, that was fun.
Would you prefer I email? I'm going to email it to you just in case, because I know you got a lot going on tonight, just like I do.
That'll be fine.
If I were in your shoes, that would fall through my cracks. So I'll email it.
That'll be fine. Thank you. Well, Jason, I'll let you ask the first question, and we'll just keep track on this list and go down. I might ask all the Gazette questions if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Glad you could make it out. You need a protest from this text. I will. I'll give you a shout.
Good evening, City of Gastonia. Can you guys hear me all right? Welcome to the City of Gastonia Candidate Forum, sponsored by the Gaston Association of Realtors, Gaston Gazette, Gaston Day School, and the Gaston Regional Chamber. My name is Steve Avery. I'm the CEO of the Chamber, and I welcome you guys here on behalf of our Public Policy Committee. We're so excited to bring you this forum this evening. First, I would like to welcome Dr. Richard Rankin, Headmaster of Gaston Day School.
Thank you, Steve. I want to add my words of welcome. As Steve introduced me, I'm Richard Rankin, and I serve as the Anderson Davis Warlick Head of School here. And along with our co-sponsors, the Gaston Association of Realtors, the Gaston Gazette, and the Gaston Regional Chamber, and on behalf of the school, I want to welcome the candidates and thank them for their commitment to public service and their willingness to participate in tonight's forum. We also want to welcome our audience, up of proud Gastonians and thank you for your interest in the city's future. Now, please turn your attention back to Steve DeAvria as we begin and continue tonight's program. And again, thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, Dr. Rankin, for letting us be here and letting us attend the Gaston Day School. We have one more sponsor message, and that is by our head sponsor today, the Gaston Builder Association. I'd like to introduce Ms. Maureen O'Keefe, Chairman of Government Affairs.
Good evening and welcome. The Gaston Association of Realtors is honored to be a sponsor of tonight's 2019 Candidate Forum. We are extremely proud of our Realtor members and thank all of you here this evening for recognizing the importance of this event. A special thanks to Gaston Day School, the Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Gaston Gazette, and of course, our distinguished guests who are seeking to better this community through their public service. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen, for your support. We're on Facebook Live tonight. Hello. Yes, good. Hello, Dave. Can I switch microphones there for a second? Thank you, Jim. We're on Facebook Live tonight. If you tell your friends or you have time to get on that phone and share, it is on the Gaston Gazette's Facebook page, so we will be live tonight. We will not be taking comments and questions for that audience, and we have received those questions already, but please do share those opportunities there for folks to know. With that, I would like to introduce our two moderators for the evening. Mr. Kevin Ellis. Kevin Ellis is the editor of the Gaston Gazette. And Mr. Jason Shoemaker, the public policy chair of the Gaston Regional Chamber and attorney for Mullen, Holland, and Cooper. Thank you both tonight. And now on to our candidates. Let us welcome from Ward number 3, incumbent Jim Gallagher and his opponent, Jeff Bryson. Ward 4, incumbent Todd Pearsall. And candidate Charles Odom. And representing Ward 6, incumbent David Humphreys. And candidate Danielle Barber. All candidates have been instructed, but we will ask one of our moderators to let the audience know a little bit about how the format will run tonight. So, Jason?
Right, thank you, Steve. Can you hear me? Testing. All right, thank you all. And thank you to the sponsors tonight. I will just briefly go over the guidelines for the candidates forum. Each individual has 60 seconds to introduce themselves. After that, we'll have a series of questions which were submitted to the Gaston Regional Chamber from the general public by the Gaston Association of Realtors and by the Gazette. Each person will have up to 2 minutes to answer that question. It'd be up to the moderator's discretion as to whether there's any follow-up or any other questioning related to that topic. Each person will have 60 seconds for their closing remarks as well. If there are no further questions, then we'll go ahead and get started with the introductions. We will start with Mr. Gallagher. If you can introduce yourself, and we'll just go down the line.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for coming. My name is Jim Gallagher. I'm currently on the City Council of Ward 3. My wife and I, next week, on October 4th, have been married 33 years. Thank you, Charmaine. I'm privileged to have lived and raised my family in Gastonia for almost 30 years. I love this town, I love our community, and I'm running to keep Gastonia a place where families can be successful, safe, and always know they have a voice on their city council. I live in the Sherwood neighborhood. I'm a member of Parkway Baptist Church, and I just received my 20th year working for Wells Fargo. And and my job is a numbers guy. I work budgets. Matter of fact, one of the reasons the conference center is in the black is because I take care of past mistakes by crunching numbers. And we're repaving 129 streets this year. For the past 4 years, 129 streets. And that's geared towards our infrastructure and smart growth. Fuse will impact the entire Gastonia area. The ripple effect from Fuse will be amazing. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the Chamber and distinguished guests for coming out tonight. My name is Jeff Rice. I'm a candidate for Gastonia City Council Ward 3. First of all, I want to let you know that I'm a Christian. I'm a member of East Baptist Church in Gastonia. I'm a graduate from Holden in 1979. I have a associate's degree in criminal justice. And I am a lifelong citizen of Gastonia and Gaston County. I love this town. I am dedicated to helping this town. I have over 30 years community service. I have helped build 4 habitat houses. I have worked as a mentor for Gaston County Schools for 4 years. And for the last 18 years, this is coming up on my 19th year, I have fed the homeless and the needy over Christmas time for approximately anywhere from 18 to 24 hours. So I want you to know that I care about this community, and I'm here to be your voice on that city council. So please remember me whenever you go to vote, and remember Jeff Rice from Gastonia City Council Ward 3. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Todd Pearson. I'm the incumbent running in Ward 4, seeking re-election. I am not a native to Gastonia. I am actually originally from Charlotte and moved to Gastonia about 18 years ago. I chose Gastonia. I didn't have to come here. I chose the neighborhood and the city. It's a place that has a lot of promise, and I believe in that, and I think I've worked very hard. My record will show that. Infrastructure, economic development, public safety, and housing are my 4 main goals and objectives that I strive for. I like to say that I'm married to my work, and my children are the realtors and the city. So that's about what I do. I work hard. I like to volunteer. I like volunteer service. And I want to continue that service. Gastonia is in a great place right now. We see a lot of great things happening. I'm sure we'll go into some of those more in detail as the forum goes on. But I've been a part of that. I've been a part of that change, and I've worked hard for that change. And I'd like to see it through. I'd like to complete the job. There'll be a time for me to step down. There'll be a time for me to let a younger generation, new ideas, fresh ideas step forward. But now is not that time. We need the continued leadership that we have in place now to keep us moving forward. I appreciate your vote, and I'm seeking re-election in Ward 4. Thank you very much.
My name is Charles Holden, and again, I'd like to thank the Chamber, Gaston Realtors, and the Gaston Gazette for sponsoring this forum tonight. I am a true resident of Gastonia. I've been here lifelong. I've seen the woes, the ups and downs of this city. I've seen Ward 4 with missing and starving out things concerning the community. Affordable housing. Some might even say we're getting it now, but it's late, but we're thankful that it is coming there. But I'm advocating for more of that happening in our city. We still don't have a grocery store in Ward 4. Food resources and healthy food resources seem to not be handy as it would in other neighborhoods. So we still want that in our neighborhoods, and because Mayor Reed in his term wasn't able to get that, I don't think the work should have stopped because of that. The work should have went on anyway to try to make sure we have the needs that everybody else have in other communities. One other reason I'm running, I've been working in the community and and doing work with Holden Neighborhood Association, which I am the president of, and seeing firsthand what's going on in the community. I love my community. I feel like I need to be a part of this board to advocate for that. And I mean advocate, I don't mean just write off my name on a vote because I voted for it. To me, I'm digging in, trying to get things done, not just signing off and say I've done something because I voted for it. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yes. Good evening. That's a little better. Loosen up. My name is Danielle Barber, and I am running for Ward 6 City Council here in Gastonia. I was born and raised here in Gastonia, and after I completed my education in Atlanta, I returned back home to serve my community, which I have been doing since 1996. I am the youngest of 5 siblings. All of my family, of course, pretty much lives and resides here in Gastonia and in Gaston County. I'm the proud mom of one son who's a senior at Ashbrook High School this year. Currently, I'm serving as the Community Center Health Coordinator for Gaston Family Health Services. Gaston Family Health Services is a fairly qualified health center, and as a matter of fact, which is something we should be proud of here in Gastonia, it is the largest fairly qualified health center in the region, which I'm very proud to be a part of that. I would invite you to come to visit my website. You can visit my website at www.daniellebarber.com. You can read all about me and receive much more information than what I'm able to give in 60 seconds. But it is my desire to serve as your representative of Ward 6 of the City Council here in Gastonia. I was born and raised to serve. I've been serving all of my life, and it's time to take my level of service to new heights. And with your help and with your assistance, I will be able to do that. Thank you for this opportunity.
Good evening, everybody. David Humphreys. I'm currently honored to be the representative from Ward 6. Danielle won't make a seat away from me, so I'll do my best. First, I want to thank the Gaston Association of Realtors, the Chamber, the Gaston Gazette for being sponsors, and also Gaston Day School for hosting the event. This is going to be really good for both sides, for us and for all of y'all. It's just some good information back and forth, so it's a great event for all of us. I am a product of Gastonia, retired Air Force veteran. It's about the only time I was away from the city. I am an aircraft mechanic and inspector. I work down at the Rock Hill Airport. I am, 2 days ago, my 10th grandchild was born, 5th granddaughter. So I'm a very happy papa. She's a beautiful little girl. I strive to do my best on the council to represent all the citizens of Gastonia. My decisions are based on facts and common sense. I don't listen to rumors. I'm not predisposed to any issues. When my mind is made up, normally it's a few minutes right before I raise my hand for the vote, whether it's yes or no. I believe in getting all the information possible when we're discussing an issue, voting on an issue. I do my own research, and that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to be fair to everybody, is to make sure you get every bit of information you can. Tried my best to act in the best interest of the residents in the city. Sometimes a vote of a council member is not a popular vote. Sometimes it is a really popular vote. Well, we're not there to win a popularity contest. We are representatives of approximately 75,000 residents, and they trust us to look out for their best interest and the interest of the city, and that's what we try our best to do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Humphreys. We'll go ahead and move on to the first question. This is from the Gaston Association of Realtors. We'll start with you, Mr. Humphreys, and then work in reverse order from your introductions. We heard you talk about some things that the city needs. What is one change that you would propose in the city of Gastonia to make it a more desirable city for residents to move here? Mr. Humphreys?
I think one of the biggest things that the city has the ability to do is to provide more recreation. There are a lot of homes available for sale. There are a lot of apartments for rent. There are places for people to move to in Gastonia. There are a lot of businesses in Gastonia. We've got a lot of restaurants now. We're getting more and more. There's a chance we may have even more, I'm going to use the term nightlife, whether it's restaurants or any kind of gathering places. Those are coming as a result mainly of Fuse. But we need to expand and increase our recreation areas. We just recently were able to get a long-term lease on the old Glenwood Springs golf course. Our staff workers have already been out starting to clear it. That's going to become a massive 140-some-odd acre west side park. It's going to include a dog park, all kinds of different amenities, green spaces, walking trails. That's the kind of thing that the city can readily and easily do, and a lot of it is in-house. We don't have to contract it out. We've got the expertise, we've got the recreation department that can do it. So I would say right now, top of the list would be that, to give more recreation activities for the folks that are moving here every day.
Ms. Barber?
Same question.
Yes, same question.
Thank you for that question. One of the things, well, first of all, I don't think there's anything that I myself can change, but there's certainly things that I could work along with Gastonia residents to change. And one of the things that I would work to change is our image as it relates to our health, the health of our community, which kind of ties into what Mr. Humphreys was speaking about as it relates to recreation. But I feel that statistically our community is unhealthy as it relates to our physical health, as it relates to our behavioral health. So those are some of the things that I would look to change, because whether people realize it or not, when corporations and other businesses and even people who are seeking to move into our communities, one of the things that they're going to look at is the health of our community. They want to know how healthy your community is. And I think that as a community that we could do a better job with the right leadership to rally our residents together to have a better outlook as it relates to the health of our community. One other thing that I would propose changing is, as opposed to me as a council member telling you as residents what the change is going to be or what we need in a community or what we need in a park, it's best to hear from the residents of Gastonia and rally the residents to know what they need in the community and what they want to see in a park. Because I feel like that's the best way to get the support and have the sustainability of any project that you choose to do in a community.
Mr. Odom, what's one thing that you would change to make Gastonia more desirable?
I think we have housing inventory shortage, and I would love to see mixed-use housing, Brookdale in Gastonia, something of that nature, where we would have all kind of mixed use for retail, housing, living. I think this would bring a good tax base to our society and help us in that way to make more affordable housing available, because all across the country is suffering from housing shortage in every facet of life, every place they are financially. People are are in need of housing. So I would like to see more housing, more construction on single-family housing, multi-family housing, housing for seniors. I know some of that is happening in Gastonia right now, but I would like to change that and really target a lot more of it.
Mr. Pearsall?
Thank you. I think the one thing that I would like to change would be our ability to attract new economic development and higher paying jobs. Gastonia is obviously traditionally a middle town where people enjoy the wages they earn working in the mills. Those mills have since left, and we have struggled to find a replacement for that. We don't quite have the industry that we once had. We don't have the high-paying jobs that we once had, and that's something we need to get back. Our economy is thriving, but a lot of our residents aren't able to keep up with that. So our ability to attract good investment, high-paying jobs would be something that I'd like to change. It's not something you can do overnight, I realize that, but certainly I think it needs to continue to be one of our priorities.
Okay, Mr. Bryson?
Lower taxes. How many of you in here got the tax rate from the city and the county? Mine went up 20%. Now, what they didn't tell you was they could have adjusted that tax rate down to bring in more businesses for our community, bring in more residents to get our tax base back up. But they chose not to do that. They only cut 1%. Another thing is, I'm gonna go 2. How many of you looked at light water bill lately? You know, they'll say they cut a little bit, but look at all those fees they patched onto it. I've been living here all my life, and it keeps going up and up and up. We've got to stop adding these fees to these elderly people that can't afford it. They're on fixed income. So that's the 2 things. You said one, but I'm going to say 2 things that I know that we can do if we work hard at it and quit wasting all our money that we spending on stuff.
The one thing I would like to change is our downtown. At 6 o'clock in the evening, if you go downtown Gastonia, it looks like a ghost town. Our town is at a crossroads. We're surrounded by growth and expansion. And what we choose to do next will set our course for years to come. I firmly believe we need to be good stewards of what God has entrusted us: land, resources, and our community's standard of living. Like all of you, I want to see downtown thrive. And we truly have incredible potential. I have championed the Fuse project from the beginning because it is a catalyst for all future development in an area of town that desperately needs it. And that will bring jobs, increase our tax base, and elevate our standard of living. And I'm pleased to report that the Fuse project is bearing fruit. We currently have 2 developers. One who just recently purchased the Trenton Mill is going to invest $15 million in that. We have another one that's looking to put 100 apartments in and invest another $25 million. That comes out to $40 million. And yesterday, the Gazette printed an article that there's a hotel we're going to add on to the conference center. That's another $15 million bucks. Do you understand? That's $55 million coming into our downtown. And the way to change downtown is to have people live there. By building apartments, you're going to bring businesses downtown because they want to serve those people. This is the first time we've had $55 million invested in our downtown, not in years, not in a few years, we're talking decades. Fuse is achieving the vision we all have for our downtown, a place where people can live, work, and play. And that's what I'd like to change. Thank you.
Good evening. This is Kevin Ellison. We would like to start with Mr. Bryson and then work this way, and then Mr. Humphreys after Mr. Gallagher. But as Gastonia residents know, this is free excess trash week. Very popular week. Should the city consider expanding that service and offering it 3 or 4 times a year rather than just twice a year? And what do you propose the city do about that?
I think we should have it every quarter due to the fact that it will help keep our city clean. People don't want to pay fees when someone comes up, city comes up to pick it up, and they leave a note on the door to say, hey, this is going to cost you extra. They just take it and dump it everywhere they can. I think that it would be great if we could do it every quarter, and that would help make our city be cleaner.
Yeah, we really never thought about it, but that's a good idea to come up with. I mean, I know a lot of people really are excited about having, spring cleaning and fall cleaning. It might, work out. It depends on the numbers. We are paying X amount of dollars, and everything's got to match with that. The free access is awesome because I see everybody utilizing it. But to increase it, if we can do that according to our numbers, let's do it.
Mr. Humphries?
Absolutely, I think we should at least every quarter. That would be nice. As much as Gastonia is growing, more people coming in. It was a program that was designed to help make our neighborhoods more presentable. To get rid of stuff that just sits around, whether it's in the front yard, backyard, it doesn't matter. Cluttering up houses. Right now it's a twice a year initiative to help keep the neighborhoods clean, to keep that type of refuse off the sides of the street, off the sidewalks. And I think we could easily do it every quarter without having to raise any fees at all. Speaking of the fees, the solid waste fees, the city pays for half and the residents pay for half. If we want the city to pay for all of it, there'll be tax increases. It's expensive. It's very expensive for solid waste and recycling, which nobody pays for recycling now. But I do. I think we could do that every quarter and not affect our budget, and I think it would be a better help for the neighborhoods.
I too would agree with a quarterly promotion of that program. I don't know about anybody else, but if you ride by my house now, you'll see a curb full of stuff waiting to be picked up. I was anxious about this opportunity to be able to clean out some things, and we have a lot of illegal dumping in some of our communities, which again becomes a burden upon those who have the larger cans and who are paying those monthly fees. So this will be a great opportunity to deter some of those behaviors, as well as a lot of the reports that Keep Gastonia Beautiful receive. I'm sure it could curb a lot of those reports that they receive about, dumping and people having couches and just things, just eyesores sitting outside of their home. I feel like the city is doing a great job of promoting, or they did a great job of promoting that event this year through social media. I know it gave me an opportunity to share that with the people who follow me on social media. So as long as the word gets out and we make it public, and again, perhaps it could be on a better schedule where people can expect it and better utilize the service. But I certainly would be in full support of a quarterly opportunity to have that trash picked up.
I also would be in support of a quarterly time for the trash to be put out and hauled away quarterly. I also, while we're on that note, it's a lot of litter in our Gastonia City, and I would like to see some program activated come about for the litter. I pick up litter kind of weekly in my neighborhoods, and I'm not the only neighborhood that suffers from litter, so I think we need to look at that while we're on that note as well. But definitely I would support a quarterly way to pick up the.
I would support quarterly, monthly, however many times a year we can afford it from the city's budget standpoint. I think the first year that we actually rolled out the excess trash week, we only did it once, and it was considered kind of a spring cleaning, and then we've added a second one now. So adding a third or fourth, or even if we can do it monthly, I could fully support any of that. As Councilman Gallagher said, as long as the numbers work, I have no problem doing that.
Thank you all. Ms. Barber, we'll start with you this time. Many of the questions we received were about the Fuse District, which some of you spoke about, the Franklin Urban Sports Entertainment District. The City of Gastonia has made a significant investment in this project. Some of the questions expressed concern that citizens did not have a vote on this project or have enough input. Is the Fuse project good use of taxpayer dollars? Ms. Barber?
It is my personal opinion that it is a good use of taxpayer dollars. I feel like, anytime you want to see change or increase in any business, you have to invest in that business. The City of Gastonia is a business, and in order to bring about change, to bring about development, and to be able to attract the type of growth that we need and desire as a community, we must invest, in our own community. Personally, I know that the city offered several opportunities for community input from the very beginning of the project as it relates to, when it came to the design, the layout, the architectural design, the presentations. Those meetings were open, they were public. People were able to come and express themselves as it relates to how they felt about the Fuse project, and I believe that there are more people who were for it than who were against it. But again, I'm all for change, I'm all for growth, but I'm also in favor of balanced growth. And that is one of the reasons why I chose to run at this point in time, is because I want to make sure that whatever decisions are made, whatever changes come, that they just don't benefit one segment of our community, but they are changes and it's growth that benefits all of our citizens. We certainly don't want anyone to be a victim of the change that comes about. We want to make sure that it is something that works in the favor of all of our residents. And I feel like in order to do that, we need a candidate that's in touch with all of our residents and able to hear the voices of all those residents to make sure that that change is equitable and the growth is for all people and benefit all people here in our community.
Mr. Humphreys?
Tax base. For us to keep our taxes down, Fuse is the ideal investment. Councilman Gallagher mentioned a few minutes ago the amount of outside investment that we've got to this point just because of the Fuse project going forward. The more commercial businesses we can get, the more people we get living downtown, the more small businesses, local businesses are going to open up. We're going to increase the tax base. That's where everything is paid for, by taxes, sales taxes, use taxes, property taxes. That's how municipalities operate, with some grants every now and then from the federal government, which is still tax money. We want to increase our tax base so we won't even have to think about increasing taxes for years to come. Fuse is going to do that. We've got 100 apartments coming downtown. We've got almost 100 at the Trenton Mill site that's being redeveloped. We're going to have more commercial space, quality of life type space, amenities around the stadium. Ideally, we're looking to have a reverse domino effect. We want those dominoes to start standing up from Fuse all the way to Dixie Village. And I think we're going to be able to do that with this investment.
Thank you. Mr. Gallagher, you had already indicated your support for the Fuse district. How do you respond to citizens' concerns that they did not have enough input into this decision?
I understand that, Jason. Good question. First off, I'd just like to say that the $40 million that we have currently without the 15 for the hotel, for every dollar we're spending, we're getting return on our investment of 65 cents. That's pretty good. coming from a banker's point of view, that's a real good investment for our town itself. And I'm sure everybody wants to get all the traffic away from down by the east part of town and get on the other side as well. And this would do that. Now, we were elected by the people. Our government is a republic. And by being a republic, we're not a democracy where everyone gets a chance to vote. Now, I think when they built Sims Park, I don't think that went out for a vote either. I think that came right from the city council itself. And I think that's why people put us in leadership, to make good decisions for all the people in our town, not just for a few, but for everybody. And this Fuse project makes such great sense. I'm telling you, our town can be better. No, can be. It is. It is better than Belmont. And Fuse is going to show it because we have the roads, we have the infrastructure. We have 7th behind there, we have Franklin Boulevard, we have 2nd, so people can get in and out of there quickly. I'm telling you, Fuse is going to impact our town and make it thrive. Thank you.
Mr. Bryson?
Well, first of all, I didn't get a vote on that. If I would have been on council, I would have put it out to the public to vote on these bonds to get it approved. I just don't think that we elect officials to go out and get $24 million in bonds that you and I have to guarantee if it fails. I should have a say-so as a citizen about my taxes has a chance of going up if something don't work. They keep throwing these numbers out there that they're getting this and they're getting that coming in. But what they're not telling you is those affordable housing is not there for all these parts that they're talking about is coming in. It's not affordable housing. So I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I think it was handled wrong. I think the citizens should have a chance to have a say-so. I've already sent some emails off to the city manager trying to find out what are we guaranteeing with these bonds. I want to know. Are we locking the city just because of it, the courthouse or city hall? The fire departments to get this? We need to watch what we're doing here because if the economy tanks, we're in trouble at the city. It could bankrupt us.
Thank you. I'm very proud of the Fuse project and I do support it. I've been a part of the Fuse project from the very beginning in the early planning stages under a former city manager. I've seen 2 city managers, 4 assistant city managers, on and on, have changed, but the idea and the enthusiasm for Fuse has not changed. You've already heard it mentioned multiple times that Fuse is going to be an economic driver for our community. It is going to be based in Ward 4. This is something I've fought long and hard for. We need a project like this to lift Ward 4 up for years and years and years. Anything that was low income was put in Ward 4. Ward 4 wasn't considered for anything else. And now we're going to have the shining jewel of the city. It will help with housing, it will help with income, it will help with economic growth in Ward 4, as well as throughout the west side of Gastonia, including parts of 6 and 5. So this is going to be a fantastic project. I understand that your question is about people being concerned. We tried to keep the process as open as we could. We have held many meetings. We want the public's input. We want the public to support this, and we want the public to understand why we are proud enough of our city to invest in it. So, thank you.
I too support the Fuse project. I think it would be huge for our city. I think it would be huge for economic growth in that area. But I'm concerned about Jeff kind of, we got to have smart growth in the city. And I think we have some smart people on council. And I have to give my hats off to them because they seem to be doing their due diligence and investigating and proving these things to be worthy of our investment. So I say that, yes, I am for this project 100%, but I have some concerns as well with some of maybe possibly gentrification on the Howard neighborhood side of this project. And I talked to people there, and it is some concerns there too, but I'm 100% in on the project. And as far as people not being involved, I think the council done a good job in publicizing and having people come in to voice their opinion. I know I had to went to at least 4 meetings before these decisions were made. So I would say I don't know why the input wasn't there that they felt like they needed to have to put into this.
Mr. Odom, if you will keep the microphone. The next question comes from the Gaston Association of Realtors. How are you prepared to mitigate the compounding traffic issues with the thousands of new homes being built in Gaston and Gastonia, many of them on single-lane roads?
Well, I think we definitely would have to look at our infrastructure to definitely invest and investigate what could be done to improve our road system. I think we have an I-85 project going on now to increase the lanes in and out of Charlotte. I think that would be huge. We are on target maybe for light rail to come into the city, and that may alleviate some traffic that we are faced with now. And I think as far as building in places that are already congested, we need to really be smart about that so the areas will not be more congested, but through our infrastructure and getting those roads where they will accommodate. And you said something about single lane roads? What was the question? I'm sorry.
Many of these houses are being built on, single-lane roads without a lot of in and out in neighborhoods.
In that case, I do think those need to be considered before more housing is put in or anything like that. That would create hazardous problems for emergency vehicles possibly. So we can maybe look at those things to better improve those roads in those areas at all possible.
Mr. Pearsall?
Thank you. Growth is something that is coming. In all of the municipalities that surround Charlotte, those counties and cities, just about every single one of them has seen a growth explosion. The one thing that the city has to do is make sure its infrastructure keeps up with the building and construction. We can't limit it. We've been asking for it for years and years and years. We can't stop it now. It's coming. We need to keep up with it. Roads and infrastructure is something I'm extremely familiar with, serving on the MPO. I was actually chairman of the MPO when we got the financing approved for the widening of I-85. We've got the current study underway for the Catawba crossings to add a third avenue into Charlotte. The 74 bridge is going to be replaced. You've seen Union Road is going to be widened. New Hope, widening, just finishing up on there. Recently, we've added over $1 million to the road resurfacing and widening budget for the city of Gastonia. It's something we're very aware of. It's something that we're watching constantly. And it's something that we're doing something about on that. We can't wait. We've got to get ahead of it. But we can't stop the growth. You can limit it somewhat, but growth is going to come somewhere in the county or the city, whether it's Gastonia or one of our surrounding municipalities. We want to welcome it, but we need to plan and be smart about it.
It's called smart growth. We've got to start focusing on these communities where we're having issues with. We gotta start working better with the state on planning. And we gotta come up with a game plan to make sure that we can safely let our citizens commute. Right now, that's not happening. We need to hurry up and focus on getting the light rail from Charlotte to Gastonia. And when we do, we're gonna get a big growth in population. I know it's in the makings, but we gotta push it. Because you know and I know 85 is like a corridor. When it goes down, we're in trouble. I also think that we're gonna have to come up with a plan with the county and work out something with the state. We need a southern road connecting Gaston County to Charlotte. Because everything seems to be going south of Gastonia when it comes to housing development. We're satellite picking all these areas, but we know 2 years in advance that they're gonna build 75 to 250, 1,500 homes. There's no roads going down to there. We've got to get it done.
Jason, can you repeat that question again?
This comes from the Gaston Association of Realtors. How are you prepared to mitigate the compounding traffic issues with thousands of new homes being built in Gaston County and in Gastonia?
Light rail sounds really good. It sounds like an easy fix. However, I don't think a lot of people know how much it costs per mile. I asked it during the city council meeting, and if you were watching or you heard about it, it's between $100 and $120 million a mile. I figure by the time we get it here, my grandkids have graduated college and moved off. One of the things the city's doing is we've talked to the state about expanding New Hope Road to 4 lanes, going from Tittman Road all the way down to where Union and New Hope Road meet up. We want them to take it further, but the state says, that's as far as they're going to go. They need to go further. And that's something that the state and county have to get on and push them to go that way. One of the necessary things is I commute to Charlotte, and yes, 85 is backed up, and we're going to add another lane, but everyone knows that lane is not going to relieve the traffic at all. What we need is what Councilman Pearsall just said. We need the crossing, the Catawba crossing, a new bridge going in the southern part of our county over to Charlotte. Charlotte's building a river center over there, and it's going to have like 50,000 new jobs. And we need to get that bridge to alleviate, one, the traffic, and two, to help the people that live down off of New Hope Road. Allow them to be able to get to Charlotte that way. And that'll alleviate some of the traffic. That is one of the biggest things that we have to look forward to doing. I'm also happy to report that New Hope Road between Garrison and Burtonwood, the 5 lanes, is now completed, and it looks great. Thank you.
Mr. Humphreys?
This isn't a new problem. 20 years ago, in the year 2000, our growth now should have been projected. That's when the infrastructure plans should have been developed. Right now, we need to be planning for 20 years from now to take care of the current issues with all the development, especially on the south and southeast side of the city and the county. It's going to be hard. The traffic's going to be there. Until the projects that have already been approved are completed by the state, and these are state roads for the most part. Until they're completed by the state, we're going to have to suffer, and we're going to have to allow extra time to get where we're going. Slow down, because these developments, there's going to be a lot of children, and on the city side, we're going to have to make sure that we have the traffic patrol increase as much as we possibly can to monitor the traffic. But until the projects that are already funded and planned and designed get finished, it's gonna be tough for the next few years, all the way up through I-85 widening, 6, 7 years from now. As was mentioned, New Hope Road being widened, all the way down to Union New Hope. Union Road being widened, all the development south of all that. It's gonna be very hard for the growth to be comfortable when they're out on the roadways. And there's absolutely nothing that can be done overnight. These are not overnight issues. Transportation in any state or municipality is a slow-moving process when you're talking about improvement and infrastructure keeping up with growth. It will never happen. Growth always outweighs infrastructure. And it's a sad state of our times.
I have to agree with Mr. Humphreys as it relates to projecting growth. Realizing that some roads are that we, the city, can control, while there are some other roads that are controlled by the state. Those that we do control as a city, we have to do a better job of projecting the growth that we anticipate in the future years. As it relates to the state, we have to be strong advocates for what we need here in our community. And that entire process is a monster in and of itself. But I was raised to never put the cart before the horse. And I feel like I'm all for growth, I'm all for change, but we have to do what makes sense. We have to do, you hear about so many incidents of road rage and people becoming aggravated and angry and upset because of traffic issues, which leads to unnecessary crimes and people lashing out upon one another. And those things are things that we can do a better job of preventing. South Union Road, 400 homes in that development. Every time I ride through there, I'm thinking, how in the world is this gonna work with those folks coming in and out of that area? I don't know if you've been in that area in the mornings or if you've been there in the afternoons, but it's a lot of traffic. And you know, I just wish that there had been more development of the infrastructure to be able to handle the traffic that are going to be coming in. And that's just one example of development and growth in our community, but to be able to better handle the traffic that is going to come. But the wheels are already turning at this point, and there's not much that can be done. And you know, the infrastructure should not have to catch up with the development. It should be the other way around. And I think that, again, through advocating, through smart decisions, that's something that we as a council can better control.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. Mr. Pearsall, we'll start with you, and this will be our last question of the evening. Mr. Pearsall, how would your vision for Ward 4 be different than that of Mr. Odom?
When I was first elected, I had a vision for Ward 4. When I moved to Gastonia, I saw how the city had imposed upon Ward 4 anything that had to do with low-income housing. The poverty level was at rock bottom. I mean, I don't know that it could go any lower. It was the poorest ward, the lowest income ward in the city. It is the only ward that from the last census lost population. My vision was to invigorate Ward 4, to improve the housing. The housing was older, some of it substandard. We had absentee landlords that didn't care. We got the prop ordinance passed, which is dealing with the landlords. We've got new construction of homes. We've got the Fuse District coming. It is starting to happen. It was not easy. It did not happen overnight. I'm proud of the way Ward 4 is shaping up. It's going to be one of the shining examples in the city. It's going to be one of the best wards in the city. I don't think that my vision differs from my opponent's vision very much. I'm proud that he is on board with a lot that is in my vision. The only thing I think that differs is He says he's gonna get a grocery store, and I say, you're not gonna get a grocery store till we get growth first. So I was honest about that the first time I was elected. We had a representative for me, who's now our former mayor, worked very hard for 16 years to get a grocery store in our ward. Very hard. And you can't just make these things happen. You have to look at why they haven't happened, correct that problem, and then they will happen. So I don't think that our vision differs much. We both want the best for the residents. We want better housing. We want better economic opportunities. And I'm still going to work hard to see it finished. Thank you.
Mr. Odom, Mr. Pearsall said that your visions are very similar. Why should voters in Gastonia vote for you?
Well, I beg to differ on several things that he said. I never said that I could get a grocery store. I don't think I said that. I said that I don't think that we should have stopped advocating for a grocery store. And I think somewhere in his remarks on Monday, he said that the median income was the problem, that we didn't have a grocery store. And I get that, because nobody wants to come in and not make any money in the when they set up shop in the community. So I feel like if that had been the case, he gives props to Mr. Reed, our mayor, for the work he done. And he worked hard and endlessly on that project trying to get a grocery store in Ward 4. But I don't think it just should have stopped there. If median income was the problem, then why not work on median income to make it happen? So I feel like I will roll my sleeves up and fight and advocate for the needs of that community and that ward to have whatever's needed there. I don't think no is just a reason to stop at the needs of what the community needs, and especially that Ward 4 community. Thank God we are getting some affordable houses in the community, and we need a lot more. But we need a lot more affordable houses all over Gastonia. So I'm not just advocating for Ward 4, which it may appear to be, but I'm advocating for this city, for the needs of all our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barber, how does your vision for Ward 6 differ from Mr. Humphreys?
Thank you for the question. I'm not sure that I am fully aware of the vision that Mr. Humphreys has for Ward 6. But certainly my vision for Ward 6 is, again, to have an engaging community. I kind of see Ward 6 is just there. Many people who live in Ward 6 don't even know they live in Ward 6, so that's a problem in and of itself. I desire to engage the community, to be visible, so that residents know where they live, the ward they live in, and be proud of where they live. There's so much potential in that ward, and I feel like it's just been lying dormant for so many years. But I feel that engaging the community residents, lifting up those voices, bringing those voices to the table will be an opportunity to change the dynamics of that ward. It is my desire that once I'm elected, certainly by the end of my term, if you're a resident of Ward 6, you would know you're a resident of Ward 6. And you will be actively involved in Ward 6. I have the energy, the zeal. I just believe in making things happen. Not talking about it, not just looking around and waiting for somebody else to do it, but certainly, as Mr. Odom said, rolling up my sleeves and making things happen. I'm very proud of the community that I live in. I've been there for 23 years. When I came out of college, I built a home. I was in the process of building a home in Ward 6. So that, to me, speaks volumes of the value that I have for that community. I saw it 23 years ago. I saw the jewel that it could be. And I don't feel that we've lived up to our full potential in Ward 6. But vote for me, Danielle Barber, Ward 6, for Gastonia City Council. and watch us make it happen.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. For what it's worth, until I had reviewed these questions, I didn't know where these wards were either. We have a handy map that I printed out today from the City of Gastonia website. Same question for you, Mr. Humphreys. What would you do differently than your opponent?
Well, I don't know that there would be really anything different. We both have a passion to serve, community service. I've got all the respect in the world for Ms. Barber. She's had a great career. She's got a great career. She helps a lot of people. I respect that. And I respect the fact that she has the courage to file for election for an off year where we're hoping the turnout may be 10%. You know, it's nothing compared to what's going to happen next year or what happened last year. So it's community, municipal elections are very hard. But as far as the Ward 6, the ward structure, there's a misconception. Our wards in Gastonia were designed so that if you run for city office, you have to live in a particular area of the city, and that is not the only part of the city you represent. It was designed so that the entire city council can't be coming from one neighborhood. Once you're elected as a council member, yes, you are a representative who lives in a ward. We represent everybody. Anybody in the city can call anybody on the council, the mayor, for any reason. It's not that somebody calls me that lives in Councilman Pearsall's ward and I say, I'm sorry, I'm not your councilman. That's not the way it works. We represent the entire city. We want safety for our residents, prosperity for the residents, growth of our neighborhoods. We want our children to have good education, everybody to have access to the needed services for their particular neighborhoods or their needs. If they're special needs, then they're special. But it's going to be essentially, with the way I look at it, with myself and Ms. Barber, I've had 4 years on the council. I've got some experience there. If I've done a good job, I'll get back. If not, it's up to the voters, and I respect that. And if Ms. Barber takes the seat, I wish her the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll direct this last question to the Ward 3 table. Mr. Gallagher, what distinguishes you from Mr. Bryson?
Well, it comes down to fuse. I'm not worried about the $24 million that we just took out in limited obligation bonds because we haven't mortgaged anything. One. And two, we've held numerous events for people to come up and speak their piece about fuse over the last 2 years. And I haven't seen my opponent there at all. I haven't even read an article in the paper. I've written about it several times. I'm for fuse because I was tired of seeing Sears building look like a mess. I mean, my wife and I first came down here, we used to shop there, and then it went away, and then it just started dilapidating. And then the hotel next door to it, that dilapidated. So then we were having police and fire go down there, and it was just costing the city money just on that alone. And everybody, people on the right were saying, you know, well, let private investment do it, let private investment. Well, I got tired of hearing about private investment doing it and figured we're going to have to take a stand and do this. And thank God we did, because right now we not only have 2 investors, we have 3 investors coming into our downtown. $55 million that's going to create jobs, it's going to increase our tax base, and it's going to increase our standard of living. Those are things that we need in our downtown. I want to see our downtown thrive. The other thing, you know, I'm sure Jeff would be for this as well. I would like to see a splash pad go into Monza Rivers. That's in my area, and that's one of the things I did. But as Councilman Humphrey said, we work for all the city, not just our wards. Like I helped IC Falls get playground equipment. I helped Smire Park get playground equipment, and neither are in my ward. And if someone does call me up, we don't pass you off. We go, how best can we help you? This is what you have to do, and we get down to business. So I just want to say thank you.
I sure am glad all that's in my community, in my ward. First of all, we got to get more affordable housing in our community. Ward 3 is lacking in that. Department rents down there is way too high. People can't afford it. We got to help our businesses in our section. I rode around just the other day and I noticed there was a lot of empty businesses. I wonder why is all these businesses shutting down. He made a remark about why I didn't show up. Well, I thought maybe some people's going to have a bit more sense when they jump from $21.5 million to spending over $30 million for a project in just a short period of time. That was way too much money to be increasing. Something's gone wrong with our people. Is it investment for a community? I hope. Is it going to strive our community? I pray. I pray hard. I hope it will. And to this day, I want you to know that West Gastonia is where I'm from. I grew up in the shadows of Firestone Mill. Nobody in here wants it more than I do. It's called smart growth. I just hope we can afford it. I hope the citizens can afford to go to a ball game. If they would have done their homework and know that there's been a lot of towns throughout America has shut their teams down because nobody's going to the games. So thank you again. And remember Jeff Bryson from Gastonia City Council, Ward 3.
I'd like to thank all 6 candidates for answering our questions tonight. And I think it's a lot of good information for voters. This will be the time for you to make your closing statements. And we'll start with Mr. Humphreys and we'll work back this way. And you'll have 60 seconds for a closing statement.
First, thank you for moderating. That's a tough seat down there to keep all these folks up here kind of in line. But, and thank you all for coming tonight. This is a fantastic turnout. If we could only get this kind of turnout at a council meeting. It's a shame that it takes something like an election to get people interested. And we know you think about, what goes on in the city. You don't have time to go, to all these meetings, but let me tell you, we've had council meetings to where the staff that are present to present information, there's a lot more of them than there are residents. We want to pack the courthouse on the second meeting of the month. The public forum room, that's the televised meeting. We want to pack City Hall the first meeting of the month. We would love to have standing room only with overflow. Come out, ask us questions. Anybody can sign up, speak to us for 5 minutes on any topic. We can engage with you at that time. If it's something we need to take care of, we will get back with you.
Thank you, Mr. Humphreys.
Thank you. I'm David Humphreys, running for Ward 6.
I too would like to thank the Chamber as well as the Gaston Realtors Association as well as Gaston Day for opening their doors and allowing us to be here this evening. I hope that I have earned your vote tonight. Again, you can visit my website, DonielBarber.com, to learn more about me. I'm very accessible. I just believe everybody in Gastonia has my phone number. If you don't have it, you're one of the very few who don't. But you're certainly welcome to have that. I take pride in being accessible to community members. I always remember, again, I wake up to serve, I go to sleep serving, because it was what I was born to do. And again, I'm looking to take the opportunity to take my level of service to a new level, to new heights. And again, with your support, I can do that. I'll see you all at the conclusion of this matter. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Mr. Odom?
Yes, I'd like to leave you with a thought of simple principles of being an advocate. Being an advocate for the entire city of Gastonia. B, being responsible. Being committed to the office that which I'll be called to do. And C, the community, the importance and the value of every community in Gastonia. That's how I want to serve Gastonia, with you in mind. But I don't want you to be fooled here tonight and think that because an incumbent is being seated and needed so much to have things go on. The city did a smart thing some years ago when they began to cycle off councilmen. See, it would be still 3 councilmen seated, regardless, that has experience, that can carry on. This city won't miss a beat if incumbent is not there in office, I guarantee you.
I'd like to echo the previous candidates' thank yous to the parties involved in hosting and also the audience tonight. The one thought I want to leave you with is to fix the problem, you have to understand the problem. When I moved into Ward 4 and into Gastonia, there were a lot of problems. I set to work figuring out what those problems were, how we got there, how Gastonia got there, how we could get out of it, what we could do to change it. Government does not work fast. It works very slow. So if you have a candidate up here thinking they're going to wave a magic wand and in 1 year fix these problems, it's the wrong candidate for you. It takes time. It takes effort. That's what I've done. We're seeing the results. When the team's winning, don't put a new member in. Keep the leadership that got you there. So I hope you remember that. I hope I have earned your vote to re-elect me in Ward 4. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for allowing us to be here. One of the things that I didn't tell you earlier was I'm a family man. I've been married 38 years. I have 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren in this community. I love this community. I want it to strive. I've got 18 years of experience in budgeting. I've got 18 years of management experience. I've just been endorsed by the North Carolina Police Benevolent Association over my component here. So I want you to know that I don't take something like that lightly. I'm taking it home. I'm fighting for every citizen in Gastonia. Please remember that. When you go to vote, remember Jeff Bryson, Ward 3. You can check it off. It doesn't matter what ward you're in. You can check it off. A lot of people get this misconception that they can't vote for you because they don't live in that ward. We're going to make Gastonia a better place. We also want to make it an affordable place for people who wants to move here and can't because they can't afford the housing that we have. Once again, Jeff Bryson, Ward 3. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. And the reason I didn't get the PBA award is Jeff is a former officer. Thank you for your service. My ultimate goal is the same as it always been, to shift the tax burden from the residents to businesses. We all know the costs keep going up and we have to keep pace. By encouraging, I will never vote for a tax increase because I believe that there's a better alternative. By encouraging residents and businesses to move here, 3 things will happen. We'll create jobs, we'll increase our standard of living, and we'll increase our tax base. When we increase our tax base, we won't have to raise our taxes on anybody. I hope I've earned your trust while serving on the city council, and I hope that on bigger issues that face the city, you knew where I stood, and you stood with me. I want to continue earning your trust over the next 4 years. I'm proud to be supported by my family, neighbors, and friends who love the city and want to see it thrive as much as I do. Vote for June Gallagher, Ward 3, and I thank you all for coming. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we just give one more round of applause to all of the candidates up here? We're going to take a brief 10-minute break to set up for the mayor's debate.
Oh. Uh-oh. It is.
Turns out. On Facebook and turns out. I'm on sabbatical, so I don't work. You don't have to go. Last year, it's their fall. They must be doing such a great job.
There's a lot more people here.
It's packed. Last year, though, we had the hurricane also.
Oh, that's right.
I would have to come through here right now, wouldn't I?
That's okay.
That's all right.
Oh,
How you doing? Congratulations!
Oh, thank you.
I didn't hear about the marriage till after it was done.
It was. I've been a widow for, and my wife is a widow too. We have both been widows, and met and decided to get married again. Give it another try.
For you.
We have both been married over 20 years, so
you had a big loss to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very good. Thank you. David, how you doing, sir?
How are you?
Who are you out here supporting?
Oh, I don't have a dog in this fight. Jim Gallagher and I are good friends, and he had asked me to come, but I was going to come anyway because I've got to see who's doing what. But there's one important question that you didn't ask.
What's that?
You need to ask all of them, but you can do it. You can make up for it.
What's that?
Ask these two candidates, do you support President Donald Trump?
I'll do it.
Good. Seriously.
We'll see. I'll do it.
You don't have to word it that way, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's see what happens.
Okay.
Kevin, you won't do it.
I'll do it. Hey, how you doing?
Marriage counsel?
I need to go right now.
You're doing it right, dude.
She's wondering where I'm at right now.